Hello, outdoorsy people. Now, I thought long and hard about where to take you today because in the UK, we have been in lockdown for a very, very long time. I mean, we've been out, been shaking it all about. So I thought, let's go on a journey to another time and place. So we are going today to South America. Yeah, I'm excited. You come with me. Good. Right. So I want you to imagine you're not on your living room couch. You're not hanging out with your kitty cat. You're not in the kitchen cooking dinner. You are actually stood with my friend Faye and I on the edge of the salt flats in Bolivia, and we are watching the most spectacular peachy, tangerine, lemon, purple infused sunset unfold. Now the following morning we pitched our tents nearby and we were packing up camp, and we were doing what I can only describe as faffing. Okay, faffing. Do you know what I mean when I say faffing? It is anything and everything you could possibly do except what you should be doing. That is faffing. Now, if that sounds familiar, then don't worry, because like me, you are just a professional fathlete, okay? You like to engage in the professional sport of fathletics. And my friend Faye and I, we had been cycling down through South America, and we had been passing the imaginary bâton du faf between one another on a daily basis, and depending whose turn it was to be faffing, one or the other of us would be having a faff. So this morning, we are packing up our tents, getting ready to cycle across the beautiful, pristine salt flats. I'm ready for once, unbelievable. And Faye is over there and she is just faffing around. I'm thinking, oh, come on, Faye, come on, we've got to get going. You know, I'm getting really antsy, I want to get on the move. And I'm thinking, right, be patient, that's fine. And then suddenly I hear, ah! And I look over and Faye is stood on one leg, and dangling from her toe is a scorpion. A full-on scorpion. Now, I want you to imagine you're in the salt flats in Bolivia and your friend has just been bitten by a scorpion. What do you do? Do you know what to do? Right, and I want to be clear that you know as much as I did about what to do when your friend gets bitten by a scorpion in South America. So I thought, hang on, to get Faye's going, ah, no, it hurts. I'm like, hang on, Faye, hang on. So I go over and I get on my phone and I'm scrolling, right, I'm going to Google it. That's what I'm going to do. And I start Googling scorpion, Bolivia, South America, ? And Faye's going, Anna, hurry up. I'm going, okay. And then she goes, Anna. I'm like, what? What is it? She said, my toe's gone hard. I'm thinking, right, okay, hang on. So I'm adding into my search, Bolivia, scorpion, hard toe, ? Death. And I'm scrolling and oh no. Faye said, what? Am I going to die? And I said, no, but I've lost 3G connection. And she said, Anna, hurry up. I said, okay, fine. Phone kicks back into life. I scroll through. I find this blog from 2012 that says, actually, of all the scorpions in the world, it's only the North American black scorpion that causes fatalities in most cases. And actually the tanned, smaller South American scorpion only usually ends up in a really, really nasty sting and causes whatever area of the body it's stung to go exceptionally hard. So I relay this information to my friend Faye. She calms down. She shoves her hard toe into her cycling shoe, and we set off across the salt flats with her promising to let me know if any other area of her body goes as hard as her exceptionally hard toe. Okay, so I'll take you back a bit. You may not know who I am. That's quite understandable. I am Anna McNuff. I'm an adventurer. I'm an author. And cycling through South America is one of the many unhinged things that I've done over the years. I have ridden a beautiful pink bicycle through every state of America. I've run the length of New Zealand with all my gubbins on my back. And recently, in 2019, I ran from the Shetland Islands to London with no shoes on. But I don't want to talk to you about any of those journeys today. I actually want to talk to you about the journey that my friend Faye and I did through South America. And we set ourselves the mission to cycle 5,500 miles from La Paz in Bolivia all the way down to the southern tip of Argentina. And rather than take the shortest, most direct route through life, because let's be honest, that would be very, very boring, we decided that we would try and cycle up as many peaks and passes of the Andes Mountains as we possibly could in the space of 6 months. So we set ourselves the challenge of trying to see if we could cycle up 100,000 metres of ascent. Now, quick pop quiz for you. Who knows how high Mount Everest is? How high is Mount Everest? Shout it at the screen. Just shout it out, even if you know the answer, even if it's a wrong answer. If it's a wrong answer, just shout it with conviction at the screen right now. How high is Mount Everest? Oh, you're all a bunch of geniuses. You are all a bunch of geniuses. It is in fact 8,848 metres high. So that meant that the mission we were setting ourselves was to see if we could cycle upwards about 11 times the height of Everest. I'd say that was a fair old challenge to be getting on with for 6 months. So we flew into La Paz at 4,000 metres above sea level, bearing in mind I'd only ever been as high, I think around about 2,000 metres by this point. So I'm thinking, is my body going to explode? Is my body going to implode? What's going to happen? It was all very exciting. And Faye, who is a 6'1" redhead from Cornwall, stunner of a woman, you can imagine she fitted in seamlessly with the locals in Bolivia. There she is, strolling down the street, looking, blending in, especially helped with the bright orange top. And straight away, we survived La Paz. We managed to make it out of that bit of altitude and we headed off across the salt flats that I'd heard so much about. You've probably seen pictures of them in all these travel magazines. Beautiful, pristine, white expanse of crystallized salt going for miles and miles. And I thought, great, we're going to have 4 days of uninterrupted riding on this beautiful, salty heaven, utopia. And the first section of the salt flats isn't really documented much. It's called the Coipasa Flats, and it's a little bit sandier than the other flats, which are called the Uyuni Flats. And as we set out cycling across it, we were using a cycling blog to actually help us navigate. Although the navigation, there's no tracks or anything, so the navigation was effectively pick the mountain and then head towards it for 2 days. How cool are those directions? So we were heading towards this mountain, and I just pulled on my bike and I pulled on my brakes and pulled my bike to a stop, and Faye said, "You're right, McNuff." I said, yeah. The thing is, I'm looking at this blog and it says that in order to get over there, we need to go that way and then that way. Effectively, we need to cycle 2 sides of a triangle in order to go directly straight ahead. And I'm thinking, I don't know, it looks a bit odd to me. Can't we just, it looks great. The ground beneath us is fine, no problem. We've been making steady progress. So what would you do in that situation? Would you listen to the cycling blog and go round the houses like you should do, like it says, sensible? Or would you think, oh, let's have it. Let's go straight ahead. Let's have it. Yeah, of course. I went, let's have it, as did Faye. We thought, stuff that. What do these people know that have cycled across this area before? We'll just go straight ahead. This was the result. Yeah, we ended up sinking in a fair bit of sand and cue 12 hours of pushing our bikes. 12 hours of pushing our bikes. Ridiculous, unbelievable. There was a fair bit of swearing as well, I have to say. But eventually we did make it out of that spongy section of the salt flats, and we made it onto the area that I'd read so much about, this beautiful stretch full of hexagons of crusty salt where we were cycling along for 2 days, the sun on our skin, just the wind in our hair, and nothing but the sound of our wheels just crunching over hexagons of salt, just crunch, 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 just like that for 2 days solid. It was absolute heaven, and hands down one of the best places I've ever ridden my bike around the entire world. I'd go back there in a heartbeat. And one of the things that Faye and I decided through this journey was that it was probably going to be a journey of growth. We were going to have to put up with one another, but that we would actually set one another personal development challenges. I think it was probably me that had decided I should set her challenges. That's how it started. And as we got onto the salt flats, I thought it was time for one of Faye's personal development challenges. Now, she is a little bit nervous getting naked, okay? She doesn't like to get naked. So I came up with the idea. I said, Faye, when we get to the salt flats, we are going to cycle naked. And she said, absolutely not, Anna, I'm not cycling naked. And I said, come on, Faye, please, can we just cycle naked? And she was having none of it. And then I started to feel really bad because I thought, do you know what, in a friendship, there's got to be a bit of give and take. And you've got to understand when the other person is uncomfortable and nervous. And she said, I really don't want to do this, Anna. And I said, fine, you know, that's okay, we'll just let it go. And then eventually I managed to convince her. We ended up cycling naked. There we are, naked across the salt flats. Oh man, it was amazing. I cannot recommend this highly enough. I mean, at first, Faye was really, really nervous. So we were cycling kind of a figure of 8 and we were passing one another in the middle, and we were doing naked flybys. And at first we're cycling where she's trying to cover up her boobs as she's cycling. I'm saying, Faye, I've got those too. Don't try and cover that up. And then by the 5th minute, we're cycling past, we're doing naked flyby high fives. And then on the next pass, as she goes past me, I give her a cheeky bum, a slap, like that as she cycles past. Loving it. Most liberating feeling in the world. Can hands down recommend cycling naked if you ever get the chance. Probably don't do it in the middle of the city though. Now, of course, I cannot possibly describe what it's like to be out there on the salt flats. So here is a little montage to sum that up. I was just about to say that Faye and I are playing in the snow.
Then I remembered it's not snow. It's really, really slushy. It's quite hard to stay upright on the bike at this point. There's a really strong headwind. We're starving. And I just want to stop cycling now. Now we're moving! Although we're on sand, so you have to keep your cadence really high to make sure you don't sink in. Juggernaut! You cannot stop me! Oh. Trying to break through some seriously hard bits of salt and pick bits, like picking a scab. Oh. And we've now decided that pain is an opportunity to grow, to learn, to love. It could be all hype, it could be all tourist rubbish. So we need to actually check and see if they are salt. So I'm going to lick it. Give it a good lick. Saltier than a packet of Walker's crisps. Ready salted flavour, of course.
It's saltier than salted caramel.
When you go for a pee in the salt flat, can you fill up one of the hexagons? So far I've managed to do it once, but I did do it with a triangle and not hexagon. Therefore I don't think it counts. Wish me luck on this round. Saltier than my underboob sweat.
Now, one of the things that Faye and I promised ourselves in this journey through South America is that we wouldn't just take the route that everyone else could take in a bus, in a car. Because we're on bikes, we thought, let's go off the beaten track a bit. So we picked on the map this remote 250-mile loop, which would take us past a volcano that was 6,000 meters high. And the mission was, can we get up to the top of that volcano? Can we summit it? And we were going to try as much as we could on our bikes and then try and hike the last little bit to the top. The road towards the volcano was spectacular. It was red, it was rocky, going through all this green, scrubby undergrowth, the road just winding off towards the horizon. And we quickly learned that actually in Bolivia is a very, very loose term that is applied to the word road, because it looked like people had just gone along in front of us and just smashed broken crockery that we had to ride over. But eventually we made it to the bottom of the volcano. We were preparing ourselves for the summit. We were going to try and do it in a day, and we had this rule. We said, right, it's 7:30 in the morning, we started off pedaling up the volcano, and we said to one another, if we haven't made it by 4 o'clock in the evening, we've got to turn around wherever we are. And Faye was desperate to summit this volcano because it was just a smidgen higher than she'd ever been before in her life, which was Kilimanjaro, which is just shy of 6,000 meters. So Faye desperately wanted to summit this volcano. I wasn't that bothered. I thought it's awesome to go up this volcano, but to be honest, all of this trip is the highest I've ever been in my life, so anything's a bonus. But as we set off up the journey on this volcano, we were using an oxygen saturation monitor to monitor our oxygen levels in our blood. Now, is anyone a doctor watching this? Yes, there are probably some doctors out there, so you're probably going to point out all the places that I'm going wrong in this medical shenanigans. But basically, you stick your finger in this oxygen monitor thing and it tells you the level of saturation of oxygen in your blood. Now, if you're around about 95% or less, you would normally be kept in hospital because it's normally about 98% saturation in your blood. We were in South America, we were rocking around about 80%. Sometimes we dropped down to maybe 78%. On this volcano, close to the top, my oxygen saturation levels dropped down to 64% and I started to feel pretty ropey. Faye said she felt all right, but she didn't look too good either. And so then we got in this situation of thinking there's only us two up here. No one really knows we're here, although we had a safety tracker. There's no guide, there's no one to bounce this off. We're both feeling pretty ropey, looking at one another, thinking we both look like rubbish. And so we had to make this decision of whether we carried on to the top and pushed on for this dream of Faye's or whether we called it a day. And this is what happened.
How high do we think we are? 5,790 metres. 5,790 metres above sea level. And we are calling it a day because unfortunately we've picked a bit of a duff route up to the top. Well, there were 3 routes we could go and we picked one.
We had gone as far as we possibly could and it was well past the time we were supposed to have turned around by that point. So down we went, down from our throne in the sky, back down into our camp spot at base camp, and Faye just had to let that dream of summiting a Turunku go. Now, as we carried on through that loop, we got 10 days into the loop and everything just started to get a little bit feral.
Day 10, without a wash, without a shower. Baby wipe washes, of course, for the bits. But day 10 without a wash, and I've just had to cut a knot out of my hair. Isn't that nice? Where I've been putting my sunglasses in at the side of my head, it just got really, really knotted, and I can't get it out. So there you go. That is gone. Also, our skin is all starting to get disgusting. We're having to cover up all my cracks. Everything just isn't healing. I think I pretty much should do a L'Oreal advert right now.
Now, as we carried on through the loop, things did get increasingly feral. I got increasingly tired, and the thing about altitude is it is such a humbler. Is humbler a word? I don't know. It's a humbler. It's a humbling experience, but you never know how you're going to feel on any given morning. And there was a particular morning where we woke up and we had to take on this pass that was called Hedionda Pass, and it was marked very steep on our notes. And I just felt dreadful. I was crawling around on my hands and knees trying to take the pegs out of my tent because I just couldn't stand up. Every time I stood up, I almost fell over and fainted. And Faye was going great guns up this pass, and I was being resorted to try and push my bike for 30 metres of ascent at a time, and even pushing it then became too much of a challenge. And I got to the top of the pass, and Faye was sat there because she was way ahead of me. She was sat at the side of the road just waiting, having a few snacks, and I got up to the top of the pass, pushing my bike, and I said to her, "Oh man, that was so close. I nearly went." And then this is what happened.
So the second to last pass of the loop has broken me. Had my cry. Faye had her cry the other day. I was just saying to Faye, it's so frustrating. We're moving so slowly. I woke up this morning feeling... I can't say shit, can I?
Why not?
Woke up this morning feeling like poo. And I just can't breathe, and my nose all bunged up, my lungs freaking hurt. And you're just going so slowly, and all I want to do is get out of this freaking loop and get into a town and get some food. Ages. But it's okay.
But
Because
we do have cheesy poo.
we have cheesy poofs.
And I'm really good at sharing.
And he's really good at sharing. The 126 calories of the cheesy poofs are going to be divvied up, and because she's a legend. And yeah, and then hopefully we'll make a town in about 45 kilometres time and get some food. What a load of old.
Now, I was so excited to get over that pass because it was only a little bit further to the next town called Polkes, and we thought, right, at Polkes, we'd read on our note that there was a food shop there that we could actually get some supplies. I'm absolutely starving by this point, so get over the pass, wipe my tears away, get down to the bottom of the next hill, and then I just feel a light little breeze, just a tickle across my nose, and I think, oh, that's quite nice. It's a bit of a warm day out there, so I'm enjoying the breeze across my nose. It turns in to the strongest headwind known to mankind. So Faye and I are getting battered by the wind, and our cheeks are going, "Aah!" like this in the headwind. And I'm looking sideways at Faye and I'm going, "Faye, how far to go?" And she's like, 4 kilometres. And I'm going, "You look screwed." And she's going, "You look screwed." Finally, we make it to the main road. Whoosh! Tourist buses go by, we're getting coated like sweaty truffles. We get into this place called Polkes. We think there's going to be a shop, and I step off my bike and I stumble around, and there is no shop. There is no shop. We were being reduced to surviving on 800 calories a day, whether we had cheesy poofs or not, and now there is no shop to get more food, and it's 2 days to the next city. And my heart just sinks. So I step off the bike, there are some tourists there, there's some tourist buses, and there's a long white building, and so I just start talking to tourists, and I'm saying, "Look, who's in charge here? Or am I like this? Who's in charge? Who's in charge?" And they said, "Oh, the tour guides are in the kitchen, do you want to go and have a chat to them?" So I walk into the kitchen, waft of onion comes off the stove of the kitchen, there's Bolivian men sitting around on stools, and I'd been practicing my Spanish, and so I said in Spanish, "Does anyone speak English?" And they said no. And I thought, right, we'll stuff this. I'm going off on one in English. And so I reenacted everything that had been happening. I talked about us having climbed a volcano. I talked about the hunger in my belly. I talked about all of this stuff. And eventually the guy said, look, do you want to stay here for the night? And if you hand us over your dollar, whatever you've got, we gave him 25 US dollars. He said, you can stay here for the night. You can have a meal and you can just head off in the morning. So we enjoyed that evening, the most amazing spaghetti bolognese. Out from the kitchen came steaming piles of it. Then I had a glass of red wine. Faye doesn't drink wine, so I had her second glass of red wine. And do you know what? On the spaghetti bolognese, there was extra parmesan. When do you ever have enough parmesan for your spaghetti bolognese? Never. So we spent the night in this tourist building. And the following morning, I realised there was another problem. Yeah, we'd had dinner that night. Yeah, we'd had a place to stay. But actually, we didn't have any food for the next 2 days. So, enter Patricia. I'm going to give her that. This is Patricia, okay? She was an absolute angel. Now, Patricia had clocked that we didn't have any food for the next 2 days. And she said, girls, have you... She's from Cheltenham in the UK. She was travelling. She was in her last 4 months of travelling around South America. She said, girls, have you got any food for the next few sections? I said, no, Patricia, we haven't. Feeling really embarrassed. I mean, what an idiot. We thought there was going to be a shop. And she said, come with me. And she led us down the hall into her bedroom and she plonked a bag on the bed and she said, look, girls, I've been travelling around South America for 4 months. I don't need half of this stuff. Let's see what we can get you. So she starts rummaging this bag. She pulls out all these random items. She's like, do you want a tangerine? Yes, please. We'll have a tangerine. Peanut butter? Yes, please. Weird Peruvian granola? Yes, please. Do you want some hot chocolate powder? Yes, please. And then she paused. And I'm thinking, what's she going to pull out this bag? It's like a Mary Poppins bag. Maybe she's going to get a lamp owl or, you know, perhaps some kind of like a roll of carpets coming out of it. We don't know. And she puts her arm in the bag. She goes right up to her armpit. She puts her arm, she pauses. And then she pulls out a 500-gram bar of Galaxy chocolate. British. She'd carried it from home for 4 months. Galaxy chocolate. Who carries chocolate in their bag for 4 months? She said, do you want this? Yes, we do want this, Patricia. So, thankfully, we stole a few extra crackers, some pancakes for breakfast, and we stood astride our bikes later that morning, and we kicked off, and we headed off armed with Galaxy for the next section of the journey. Now, Patricia's kindness wasn't the only kindness that we experienced in South America. It was a bit of a theme that random strangers wanted to feed us. And there was a particular day where we were on a beautiful stretch of road. Again, we'd not done particularly well on stocking up on food. We'd got food with us, but it was all that boring stuff, dried stuff, lentils, things that you really just don't want to eat, you know, noodles, not things that are very nutritious. And as we're cycling along this road towards the Argentinian border, a tourist bus goes past us and it goes really slow and really wide. And I'm thinking, oh, that's quite nice. It's going slow and wide. And then the passenger window slides down and out of the window comes a baguette. And I'm thinking, I'd have to follow this baguette. So I got the baguette, I grabbed the baguette, I start gobbling on it. And then again, out of the window comes a carton of orange juice. What is going on? Now, these are tourists that had actually finished their journey through that area of Bolivia and they decided that they'd quite like to hand us food. And the funniest thing was, it was like feeding animals at the zoo. So they would hand us food out of the window and then they would all press their faces against the glass and take pictures of us while we gobbled it up at the side of the road. I didn't care. I was just enjoying the nosha. So, of course, when you get a baguette, what do? You put it on the back of your bike and you take a beautiful picture. And then the next thing that you do with it is you strike a little bit of a night fever pose. Night fever, night fever. Yeah, like that. That's it. Now, one of the other amazing things about South America was that for the most part, we weren't being put up in tourist accommodation or hotels or anything like that. We were actually just wild camping wherever we wanted. And if you've never wild camped before, I would just say, imagine that it is like every single morning you wake up and you pull back the curtains of your bedroom window and you are greeted with a new, different, spectacular view. So we had the crunchy twigs of the forest floor. We had glaciers down in Patagonia. And then one morning we woke up and there were 20 men on horseback outside our tent. Cash, as you do. Now, I said that we wanted to take the road less travelled through South America. And road is, like I said, a loosely used term in Bolivia. And this was some of the best roads that we went down. Just want to show you a few snippets. This is the Death Road. You might have heard of the Death Road. There I am, stood on the edge of it, giving it a little wave. 2,000-metre drop to the valley floor if you slip off the edge of that. Faye was riding along it, filming, no-handed, all of that jazz. I was clinging to the mountainside, absolutely bricking myself going down that road. But it was pretty spectacular. It's like a magical kingdom. This was the road we went down on one particular day at the Chile-Argentinian border. And this road happened on the same day as this road. Ah! How cool is that? It's like a freaking spaghetti junction. It's absolutely amazing. Oh, and the best thing about that road is that each corner had a curve number on it, so you could count them down. 38, woo! 37, woo! 36, woo! All the way down to the bottom. It was wicked. Loved it, loved it. Okay. Final story for you today. Now, I want you to imagine spending 6 months and 24 hours a day with one of your best friends. Just imagine that for a moment. And being completely honest, most of the time, mine and Faye's friendship, it looked like some kind of outdoors clothing company's advert. You know, with smiles and the moon rising and the campfire. We had a laugh. We got on so well over the course of the journey. We bonded. We became like sisters. And we were really there for one another. So when Faye turned 30, in southern Patagonia, I actually was really there for her by serenading her at 6:30 in the morning with my voice of an angel. I actually had smuggled some sponge cake in my pannier for 2 days, and I presented her with that and some cards that had been sent over from the UK. I even used my manky grubby hands to stuff some banana in the top of the cake and sprinkle it with hundreds and thousands. And Faye was really there for me when I got bitten in Chile. I got bitten by a dog, and she was really there for me by taking a picture of it. That's friendship right there. That's what friends do. But there were some challenging times. So one particular morning, we are packing up camp. We are in Argentina, we're packing up camp, and Faye goes, "Oh, Anna, I can't find my tracker." I said, "What do you mean? What do you mean you can't find your tracker?" "Oh, you'll find." She said, "I can't find it anywhere." I said, "Nah, you'll find it." Now, a GPS tracker is a very important piece of equipment. So it is this little device that speaks to the satellites up in the sky, and it was telling her mum where she was every day. It was allowing us to send an SOS message if we needed. I had one too, and so it was a really important piece of kit. It's also pretty expensive, so you don't want to lose your tracker. But Faye had lost a lot of other things on the trip, and I thought she always thinks she lost them, and then she finds them again. So I thought, "Oh, you'll find your tracker." So she had a bit more of a look, and then she said, "No, Anna, I've really have actually lost it." And I said, "Well, where do you think it is?" And she said, "Oh, I know where it is. It's by the tree where I took a poo." "You took your tracker for a poo?" She said, no, I didn't take my tracker for a poo. I put the tracker down the edge of the road, and then I went into the bushes, did my business, and I left the tracker at the side of the road. I said, "How far back is that tree?" And she said, "Oh, I think it's about, I don't know, halfway through yesterday, so maybe 25 miles back. 25 miles back. So there wasn't much discussion. Faye we sort of very quickly, it was a bit in the moment, Faye turned around, went back to get the tracker. She said, "I'll see you in town." And I said, "Okay, we'll see you in town." And I pedalled off to wait in the next town while Faye went back to get this tracker. This was the first time in the whole 6-month journey that we actually pedalled apart, and it felt really weird. But that day was actually quite a special day. So back in the UK was the day that my younger brother was getting married. So him and his wife-to-be, Kate, were standing at an altar somewhere in London about to get married. He'd been very understanding in knowing that I couldn't be at the wedding because I was pedaling around in South America. And so before I left camp, I made sure that I took the time to show some love for them by making them a love heart out of donkey poo. There it is. Yep, nothing says love like a crusty bit of poop in the sun. And I pedalled off to this town, and as I got to this town, I was still feeling a bit annoyed, and I thought, why am I so annoyed? And I thought, well, we didn't have much of a discussion about what we were going to do about the tracker, but Faye's gone to get it, and I understand it's really important, so I just shoved the annoyance aside and thought, just, Anna, be a friend, for goodness sake. She's forgotten her tracker, she's got to do all the cycling. And I just went to a coffee shop, and I sat in a coffee shop for 4 hours, I drank coffee, I hung out, and I actually got to watch the wedding unfold on WhatsApp. So my dad had decided that because I couldn't be in the wedding, that I should be there in some form. So he had actually arranged for a life-size cardboard cutout of me to be at my brother's wedding. Being my dad, he had chosen one of the most unflattering pictures of me from the last 15 years to blow up to life-size. So there I am, standing next to my boyfriend Jamie, enjoying the wedding. So as I'm sat in this coffee shop with Faye off to get the tracker, I'm enjoying this stream of messages and pictures coming in on WhatsApp. And there I am having a whale of a time on the dance floor. There's selfies going on with me at the wedding. I'm in 2 places at once. I love it. And so as the hours go by, I calm down. I think this is actually a really lovely experience. it's fine. We'll just chalk this day up to a bit of a disaster. And I'm thinking, I wonder if Faye's going to found that tracker or not. There's a little knock at the window and I look out and there's Faye. She's holding the tracker in her hand. She's actually found it. Who finds a tracker by a tree in the middle of nowhere? Unbelievable. She'd done a 6-hour return journey to go and get it. She's exhausted. I'm a bit fried by the day. I'm wired up on caffeine at this point. We pedal out of town and I think, I should probably say that I'm a bit annoyed though that we didn't have much discussion. I didn't really, you know, there's something about it. We need to talk about it. And so as Faye, she went to pitch up camp and I said, Faye, do you know what? I'm just going to go for a bit of a cycle. And she said, why? And I said, well, I'm used to moving all day, every day, and I've not cycled much today. So I'm just going to go for a bit of pedal, get some energy out my legs. As she's setting up camp, I steam it off down the road. I pedal for 45 minutes in the wind and I'm going down the road and I'm feeling really uncomfortable and I feel like I should bring it up and I can't work out quite why I'm so annoyed. There wasn't a discussion, there wasn't an apology, and I'm going down the road and my head's going like this, like thinking of all the things I'm going to say to her when I get back. Yeah, having the conversations in my head, you know, both sides of the conversations. Yeah, and I'm thinking, yeah, Anna, you've got to speak your truth. You've got to speak your truth. Be assertive. Have a voice. And I get back to camp and I'm all read up, ready to have this conversation about our friendship, openness and honesty. And oh, she's all snuggled up in a beanie and she's wearing a down jacket and she's cooking up dinner and she looks really tired. And I just think, oh, Hannah, just, you know, can you just let it go? Because I think you've got those choices when you have a disagreement in a friendship. You either bring it up or you let it go. And I thought, do you know what? I can let this go. 10 days later, we're cycling out of town. It is Christmas Eve. I'm very excited about sort of going in this watering hole the following morning on Christmas morning. We've heard about this beautiful spot that we're going to make it to for Christmas Day. Faye's excited about it too. We're cycling out of town and Faye goes, Anna, I've forgotten my tracker. And this rage just boiled up inside of me. I was shaking, and so we turned around and she said, Anna, what should I do? And I'm like, oh, just turn around. So we turn around, we start heading back to get this tracker because it's only 15 miles back this time. And we pull into this petrol station and we pull in, and as I'm getting off my bike and I'm thinking, I've got to say something, and I go, Faye, can I say something? And she's looking at the ground. She says, go on then. And then there was just this explosion of super nanny language. It was all like, just when this happens and when that happens and when you say this and when I say that, and I just feel, and it's just, you know, and I love you and I love you, and she tells me she loves me back, and we just hugged it out by the diesel pump, all of it out in the open. She said she was sorry for being an idiot and I apologised for bottling up and not bringing it up earlier. And off Faye went to get this tracker. Now it's Christmas Eve, Faye's gone off, she's pedalling back by herself. I'm again sat in a coffee shop drinking coffee. I get the easy deal inside the gas station, and I decide to call my boyfriend back in the UK who sat there at home, and I call him and I explained the whole situation. I said, Jay, we've just had the most amazing friendship moment. You know, I bottled it all up, but then I brought up my annoyance and my hurt, and she brought everything up and we got it all out in the open. It was beautiful. And he said to me, he's from Gloucester, he said, oh, me Anna, this is what I love about adventures. You're out there, you're learning, you're growing as a person, and I'm sat here in my pants eating quality streets. Now, if there is one thing that I will say after that journey through South America is that what I learned, that when you are choosing a friend to adventure with, whether it is a 6-month trip up mountains or whether it is along a canal or whether it's an overnight on a hill in your local forest, it pays to remember that we're all really just a little bit like jammy dodgers. There's all this biscuity stuff around the edge of jammy dodgers, but that is the stuff that breaks and crumbles. And actually, all that matters is that you and your friend have got some jam in the middle. And Faye and I, we both had jam in the middle. That is the good stuff. So when I do these talks, quite often I say, I've got a mantra that says, grab onto life and make magic happen. But after that journey through South America with Faye, I would say, grab onto life, grab a friend and make some magic happen together. Thank you for listening to my journey through South America. If you want to know more about the trip, I did write a cheeky little book here called Llama Drama, which has got a whole lot more about the adventure in there. But if you don't read that, or if you do, it doesn't matter. I will just say happy adventuring to you. Enjoy the rest of your day and the rest of the festival. Bye!